the first to know. Nsem-Pii TV.
The minority leader, Honorable Afenyo Markin, making a final speech and send a parliament for a parliamentary break and a parliamentary vacation. Na Nsem-Pii or the two parliamentary floor near Pessi at the Bremo and then remember Nsem-Pii TV. So, first time, or touch on acquire the government in power handle the matters of democracy with intimidation tactics and the kekeka was also kasa efa demolition exercise of McDan the warehouse was Spenters reportedly I should say national security operatives cry and my McDan CEO nukra bunkutudre etu aiding isinuso or sanso a sympathizer with McDan say emre eni kaso na dachi bi no aban no enzeden insa ebesan asesa osanso kasa efa galamsey na NDC government kasatia ding say omunye den government any issue state of emergency ombaya there's no matters regarding state of emergency na main issue that nkrofo dream pa fresh the attack on journalists in the Republic of Ghana, especially lawyer Paul Adom and many other journalists. It's not less than 12 journalists and current government state apparatus for no or attack one way or the other. Even so also Ablekuma North, even also a demolition exercise crowd Spinters the time or more demolish Mr. McDan ni warehouse and even so akoso with the arrest by state authorities to lawyer Paul Adom. The minority leader, Honorable Afenyo Markin, Ekasai for whooping almost 20 to 25 minutes. Hereby, they accept major talking points in a was also Kasai on Chief Justice removal. Ekoso wo Sumasea Ghana for intimate for omonsa insiso purporting the entire Chief Justice no omode nefa acquire the current government at the nefa. So you go to Honorable Afenyo Markin on the floor of Parliament on a final speech and sign a parliament for a vacation and then August 1st, 2025.
Of the majority is the backbone of the minority. When power grows too comfortable, even a minority of one must rise. Their role is not to decorate debate, but to disrupt decay. They are not seat fillers. They are the guardrail of the republic. Every bold promise must be tested. Every flashy decision must answer to the people. Ghana is done with hollow rhetoric. The new citizen is alert, informed, and allergic to excuses. The minority may be few, but their mandate is undiminished. Ghana still expects them to deliver. End quote. Mr. Speaker, with this, the minority in this House feels inspired to continue its work and to deliver on this mandate of the people. Mr. Speaker, and we do so with a deep spirit of responsibility, reflecting on the significant development that have taken place both within the walls of this Parliament and in the broader governance space of our republic. Parliamentary business is often complex, but critical to the sustenance of our democracy. And this meeting undoubtedly has been marked by various events that have tested the strength of our democratic resolve. Mr. Speaker, because of this session, the minority acted with a deep sense of responsibility and urgency. We've carried the burdens of our people, raised their concerns on this floor, kept alive the flickering flame of democratic accountability. Mr. Speaker, the Constitution enjoins Parliament not merely to legislate, but to scrutinize, to question, and to ensure accountability in the use of public resources. Over the course of this meeting, the minority has been steadfast in holding the executive to account. We demonstrated with clarity that power is not a license for impunity. The clarity that Parliament must not be reduced to a rubber stamp. And the clarity that where the majority falters, It is the minority that must stand firm and speak the truth, regardless of the costs. We in the minority have not shirked that responsibility. In this meeting, we filed several urgent questions to ministers to demand answers on pressing issues affecting the daily lives of Ghanaians. Answers about the cost of living, answers about the state of our hospitals, about the collapse of local industries, about the pain of ordinary Ghanaian citizens whose dreams have been battered by a government that is increasingly distancing itself from the private sector. Again, Mr. Speaker, in this chamber today, we have a newly elected member of parliament for Ablekuma North. But we all know the event that led to this eventual election. The minority hereby reiterates its stand against the Electoral Commission for the sudden U-turn that robbed Honorable Akure-Friye of her deserving victory. That said, we also say that the event that eventually brought our respected colleague into this chamber must not be glossed over. The violence and the misconduct that made that rerun in Ablekuma North sadly bears the stain of electoral violence, and that stain cannot be ignored. The intimidation, aggression, and brazen violation of the laws that we witness have no place in our democracy. To the newly sworn in MP, we say this: your first test is before you. Demand justice. Call for accountability. Work to ensure that no political affiliation shields anyone from prosecution. Send a clear, unambiguous message that Ablekuma North will not be a haven for political violence. Defend the democracy that brought you here by demonstrating zero tolerance for political violence. Mr. Speaker, the minority also stood firm in resisting the legislative overreach of the majority. For the records, permit me to reiterate the sentiment I expressed in my opening remarks prior to the vetting of the first batch of the last batch of the deputy ministerial nominees. Quote, in every functioning democracy, fairness in parliamentary practice is not a matter of convenience. It is a constitutional imperative. The legitimacy of representation rests not on the brute force of the numbers, but on the integrity of the processes through which those numbers are interpreted and applied. It is not majoritarian muscle that gives Parliament its soul, but the enduring principles of balance, precedence, and the inclusion of minority voices in decision-making. Parliamentary politics, then, is not merely a numbers game. Yes, numbers matter, but principles matter more. At its core, Parliament is a moral contract, a shared understanding that power must be exercised with restraint, and that electoral victory, no matter how decisive, must never become a license for institutional overreach or unchecked dominance. End quote. Mr. Speaker, the majority caucus in this 9th Parliament has time and again wielded its numerical strength not as to shape and enrich debate, but we've often seen this as being used as a weapon to impose its will on the House. A clear example in their sudden increasing reliance on certificate of urgency for every bill to railroad legislation, sidestepping multiple occasions, the majority bulldozing its way through decision-making processes with scant regard for consensus or constructive engagement. But democracy is not about majoritarian tyranny. It is about balance, inclusion, and accountability. The dangerous precedent being set by the majority, where power is exercised without restraint, must not be encouraged. We would encourage our colleagues to bear with us even as we put forward our argument to scrutinize, they must not see it as frustrating them, but they should see it as our bit in enriching parliamentary democracy. Mr. Speaker, government has time and again been compelled to reverse unlawful or ill-conceived actions after the minority raised the alarm. The so-called Doomsday levy, we welcome the suspension, but surprisingly, government used a backdoor to implement it to further burden the people of Ghana. We reiterate that we support any attempt at ensuring reforms at ECG. We do not agree to the imposition of levies and taxes. Within this 6 months alone, government has increased the levies, increased levies and imposed burden on Ghanaians when it comes to electricity consumption. And we know that the people deserve better. We support reforms and would urge government to come forward with reforms rather than imposing taxes. Mr. Speaker, it is very troubling that within this short period, a lot of businessmen are facing crisis because they are being targeted in one way or the other. The minority wonders why. Foreign businesses are doing well, but Ghanaian businesses have become targets of certain state institutions. Mr. Speaker, the recent attack on the warehouse of McDan is something that we should all condemn. It is not proper for a country to see the unleashing of state security on the private business of a Ghanaian. Whereas there is no single foreign business in our country suffering from such attacks from state institutions. This must end. We should encourage our own and support our own. We should build our Ghanaian industry and not subject them to partisan affiliations. It will not help our country. To our friend McDan, I say to you, you are one example of a Ghanaian businessman who has done so much, created jobs, yet going through this. We pray that the good Lord himself will comfort you in this difficult moment, as well as all those businesses that have become subject to attacks because some people feel they are affiliated to one political party or the other. Mr. Speaker, on Galamsey, this government has become a tragedy before our very eyes. There's a complete breakdown of the fight against illegal mining. Galamsey is now worse. This government has completely failed in its fight against Galamsey. Our rivers are polluted. Our forests are vanishing. Our children are drinking poison water. Yet those who promise to end Galamsey, as soon as they are voted into office, have become the chief enablers. On May Day, the Trade Unions Congress, TUC, publicly condemned the NDC government's weak, half-hearted approach to tackling illegal mining. And what did they get in return? Verbal abuse, baseless accusations of partisanship, and vile attacks from the NDC's communicators. They were not alone. The University Teachers Association, UTAG, also added its voice to the national outcry. UTAG has issued a stark ultimatum. If President Mahama fails to honor the anti-Galamsey pledge he voluntarily signed before the 2024 election, they will embark on a strike action. The Catholic Bishops' Conference has also boldly added its voice on this matter. Government must take action. And if indeed government is determined, this house, this side of the house, the minority, is ready to support this government to deal with the issue of Galamsey. The consequence of this government's Mr. Speaker, the consequences of this government's negligence are not abstract. Doctors are now sounding the alarm over a spike in gallbladder-related diseases in communities affected by Galamsey. This is not just an environmental crisis. It is a growing public health emergency, And what is the government doing about it? Nothing meaningful. We urge the president to unmask and prosecute all those profiting from this destruction. Mr. Speaker, let me now turn my attention to the gold board issue. Mr. Speaker, civil society organizations have sounded the alarm that significant portion of the gold being procured by gold board is reportedly sourced directly from illegal galamsey operations. Gold board was to purchase gold and generate foreign exchange in support of the city. Its mandate is fundamentally commercial, but it also bears a critical ethical responsibility to ensure that the gold it procures comes from legitimate and responsible sources. The gold it purchases comes from legitimate and responsible sources. And herein lies the crisis. We have tasked a commercial entity with a mandate that directly conflicts with our national environmental priorities. How do we ensure that gold board's drive to shore up the city does not come at the expense of our lands, rivers, and future? The conflict of interest is glaring. Economic gain versus environmental integrity. So long as we create incentives for gold sourced from illegal mining, we are not fighting galamsey. We are funding it, and government must take note of this. This House must demand accountability and transparency from gold board and insist on mechanisms to verify responsible sourcing. Anything less would rather increase the situation and worsen it. Mr. Speaker, let me now deal with the issue of the unrest in Boko. Mr. Speaker, we witnessed an alarming surge in insecurity, including spillover of Boko conflict that tragically claimed the lives of students in Nalerugu and Boko. Mr. Speaker, fortunately for us, the leader of the House is the MP from Boko, for Boko. I call on this House, let us avoid making this a partisan matter. Let us pray for peace in Boko. Let us reach out and encourage all stakeholders that have been given the mandate to mediate, to do their work. Let us guide our utterances and ensure that there is peace in that part of our country. Mr. Speaker, when peace is attained in Boko, it would have positive spiral effects on other areas in the country. Conflict in other countries starts in such manner, and with time, it just gets out of hand. We must not allow Boko to get out of hand, and I want to assure my respected colleague, the majority leader, that I will always remember him in my prayers. I can just relate to it. If it were my constituency, how would I even go there and all? As well as other constituencies in the Kusau area. I pray for peace for them, and I say that your colleagues in this House are here supporting you in prayers, and we believe that with concerted effort, our country would experience peace, and your people would also experience peace for development to take place there. Mr. Speaker, let me deal with the issue of attack on our journalists, the media. Mr. Speaker, recently, the GJA president had cause to express concern about what is happening to journalists. The assault of not fewer than 12 journalists have become of great concern to the Ghana Journalists Association. Mr. Speaker, the executive must speak out and end this. Now let me also turn to the state institutions that are involved in investigations. Mr. Speaker, this side of the House, the minority, is never against accountability. I repeat, the minority in this House is never against accountability. But we want to say to the state agencies, execute your mandate with a human face. We are seeing situations where, Mr. Speaker, bail is being used as punishment. Iyoko, for instance, is
Honorable Minority, please address the chair.
Today, we see Iyoko granting bail with onerous conditions. Suspects are being demanded to provide title documents, valued title documents, and it is done such that the person will remain days in custody. Mr. Speaker, we have to watch some of these. As a country, if we don't find space to end bitterness and revenge, it will continue. Today, it is NDC in office. NDC will not be in power forever. If something happened yesterday, it is time for us to end it. Because, Mr. Speaker, tomorrow, for those who are occupying positions, they should remember that if they don't control and check some of these things, it may be difficult for the moderates in the opposition party to control those hawks when that time comes. It is time to end the bitterness, the revenge, and the pain. We are a country of one people. If the hawks will continue to dictate to governance, so be it, but we'll live to see. Mr. Speaker, I cannot gloss over what is happening to our judiciary. Our Chief Justice is being hounded. The ongoing